Hello, and welcome back to this week's edition of the 49er Faithful Podcast. This is Nick Alspaugh, and today we're going to talk about the quarterback situation for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, currently, the 49ers boast a 3-8 record, which is good enough for dead last in the NFC West, and also a 29 out of 32 power ranking of all the teams in the NFL. Now, currently, Colin Kaepernick, our starter, for the past 3 years, is out with a torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder. And he has gotten surgery to fix it and will begin rehab this next coming week. But the big question is, do we keep him? Now, he has led us to back-to-back NFC championships in the past 3 years and a Super Bowl. But as time has progressed, his play has appeared to decline, and I want to get into those reasons as to why. Now, coming into the league, Kaepernick was a dual threat quarterback, and defenses really struggled initially to defend this. He had the ability to run or throw the ball, which could torch a defense, whichever one he chose to do. And defenses really struggled initially how to defend a quarterback that could do either of those things. For example, in the 2012 divisional round of the NFC playoffs against the Green Bay Packers, Colin Kaepernick had the best game of his career by far. He finished with 181 rushing yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, in addition to a 54.8 completion percentage, 283 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns to boot. Now, not only that, he simply made the Packers defense look foolish. They didn't know if he was going to pass it, if he was running it, if the running back had the ball. Next thing you know, Kaepernick was 70 yards down the field with no one even near him, looking like a gazelle sprinting in a meadow in Africa by himself. Anyways, this was the best football we've seen out of Colin Kaepernick by far. Unfortunately, it only got worse from this point, and I want to take some looks into why this happened. The first reason I want to look at the flaws in Cap's game is his inability to effectively read a defense, pre-snap and during the play itself. Now, pre-snap, I'm referring to when a quarterback comes to the line of scrimmage, he needs to know what the defense is doing. And you can figure this out by looking at them. You can sense where the pressure may or may not be coming from. If the pressure is coming from the left, you can call a slide protection to the left, vice versa if it's to the right. And these are things that he really hasn't picked up on, and it's become evident over the years as he's caused more turnovers for the offense and gotten sacked many more times than he had in past years. Now, in addition to the pre-snap adjustments, he also struggles tremendously during the play itself how to adjust if something goes awry. For example, he seems to hone in on one receiver rather than looking off all of his potential targets to pass the ball to. Now, honing in on one receiver isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's bad because if they're covered or guarded, you can't force the ball in there. And in addition to trying to force the ball into tight spaces, he freaks out and doesn't know what to do if this receiver is guarded, so he tends to make errant passes or turn the ball over, which is detrimental when you're trying to win in the NFL. Secondly, Kaepernick also has the inability to throw a touch pass. And what I mean by this is that he literally has one speed when he throws the ball, and that is extremely hard. Now, throwing hard passes is not a bad thing by any means in the NFL, but you also need to be able to throw a touch pass because it allows the offense to call more plays. If you can throw a touch pass, you can throw the long ball down the field and stretch a defense out vertically, but when you can only throw the ball hard, it limits the offense that you can only throw the ball about 15 to 20 yards max if you're throwing bullets. So not being able to drop the ball into tight windows with touch and arc really hurts himself and the team because they can't call certain plays, which completely eliminates a vertical threat down the field. Now, the last flaw I want to talk about is his extreme lack of pocket presence. Now, pocket presence is vital for a quarterback, especially in the NFL, because you need to sense when pressure is coming and where it is coming from. And this also goes back to the pre-snap adjustments I alluded to earlier. Now, pocket presence isn't necessarily meaning that you have to get rid of the ball at a certain time, but you need to have something what is called to as a shot clock in your head. Now, a shot clock for a quarterback in the pocket in the NFL is typically between 3 to 5 seconds. When you hit 3 to 5 seconds in the pocket as a quarterback, you know that the defensive line is closing in. You know that they are getting close to you and they're either going to sack you or cause a bad pass. And when they cause a bad pass, you can turn the ball over. So when you hit this time frame, you need to know that you either need to get rid of the ball or run. And he struggles tremendously with this concept, and it has hindered his game so much over the past 3 years. And the frustrating part is, being in his 5th year in the NFL, these are skills that he needs to grasp to be successful. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because Kaepernick is due $11.2 million by April 1st if he is not traded or released. Now, $11.2 million is a hefty sum to pay a player that is playing below average, quite frankly, which he has been for the past 3 years. Now, we have seen him play at an elite level, but his inability to effectively read a defense, to throw a touch pass, and his lack of pocket presence is completely hindering himself and the 49ers franchise. Now, if the 49ers want to continue to win games and get back to the glory days, then they need to seriously consider severing ties with Colin Kaepernick. So, by April 1st, they'll have some serious thinking to do, but in that time, they really need to consider trying to fix something that could potentially never be fixed, or paying someone to keep playing below average football.